You just give me a moment's time. I'll just join you. Okay, shall we start the class? Where were we? I think we have studied about viruses and we completed viruses the other day. Am I right? Just good. Yeah, we finished retrovirus. We will be like moving on with viroids. We'll start with viroids. Okay. So what are viroids? Okay, viroids are smaller than viruses. Okay, they were discovered by in 1971. Okay, they caused disease. I'll just explain. Just give me some time. Let us just copy the notes first. Then we can. So quickly copy this thing down. And let me know so that I can start. Okay. So let us try to understand what is this point that I was trying to tell. Okay. So these are smaller than viruses. Viroids are smaller than viruses. Okay. So let me compare this thing and then like show you what is virus will look like and what will viroid will look like. A viroid will have a genetic material which is RNA. Virus will also have genetic material. Okay. And virus will be covered by a protein coat. Whereas here it will not have anything. Which means a viroid will be made up of only RNA molecule. The protein covering is absent. Whereas here you have capsid. So this is what we call it as capsid. Yeah, free RNA is called as viroids. Yeah, right. Okay. If you're talking about this capsid will be made up of many smaller units. These smaller units will be called as what? What will the smaller units will be called as? Yes, these smaller units are called as capsomeres. Very good. Okay, so you have this capsid is this protein covering, and then the smaller extensions are what we call it as capsomeres. Okay, so this is what is a viroid. So this viroid was first discovered by this guy called as Danner. Okay, it was in the year 1971. He studied that just RNA particles can have cause this disease called as potato spindle tuber disease. Okay, this disease is called as potato spindle tuber disease, which is caused by viroids. Viroids mostly affect only plants. They don't affect human beings or animals. It is like kind of not reported so far. Okay, so they mostly infect plants only, and then they consist only of RNA molecule. Okay, whereas in case of protein, capsid is absent. They will contain only the RNA molecule. The protein capsid is absent. The RNA molecule is also not like what you see in viruses. The viruses will have RNA molecules that are sort of thicker. Maybe you can say this way. So maybe this is like of a higher molecular weight. So let us say that this is of a higher molecular weight. So I am indicating it by drawing it thick. Whereas if you're seeing, in case of a virus, it is thick and higher molecular weight. Whenever we talk about viroids are not as thick, or like they will have lower molecular weights. So someone is asking viroids are weaker, sir, weaker than virus. Maybe you can say that both you cannot compare it at all. Okay. So please understand whatever these organisms that I am trying to tell you now are not living organisms only. They behave like living organisms, but they are just particles. Okay. In case of viroids, viroids can multiply also. All these things can multiply. But the whole thing is they are not having a cellular structure. If you're asking me which is the living organism, that is of the smallest size, I would say mycoplasma and not virus. You have these three things. Mycoplasma is there, viruses is there, okay, and then you have viroids, and then you have prions. I'll just give you a snapshot. This is a bacterial cell without cell wall. You cannot call it as bacterial cell. You can say that it is a prokaryotic cell. Okay, just a second. Okay, children, sorry. Uh, so this mycoplasma is like kind of a prokaryotic cell which is not having a cell wall. Whereas in viruses, we know that there is something called as a protein capsid and there is something called as a genetic material. In viroids, you'll have only the genetic material, no protein capsid. And what is this prions? Prions will have only some sort of proteins, that's all. So you see here, all these things are not having, viroids naturally will be smaller than viruses. You just see how it is. It is just RNA molecules. Just commonsensically, you tell me this is made up of an outer coat and something which is there inside. Okay, this is just having what is there inside. So do you think viroids will be smaller or bigger? Spirulina is different. Please don't talk about spirulina here. Spirulina is an algae. Okay. It is a different kind of structure. Please don't talk about spirulina. They are eukaryotic structures. Wait. Listen, you cannot compare the structures of viroid and prions also. Here, this is the genetic material which is making it. Prions can be larger or it can be smaller depending on the size of the protein that is making it. Okay, so please don't compare it in terms of sizes. Okay, what you are trying to understand is you are trying to see which one is small, which one is larger. Okay, if you want a comparison, I will try to show you a comparison. So you see here, this is a virus. Okay, this is called as viroid. Viroid is having just the molecules, and you have prions. Let us see here. Okay, so viruses, viroids, and prions are all like kind of like very similar only. Here they have given a virus size of different things. Here also they have shown viruses only. So prion is like basically a protein structure. It can vary, but please understand that viruses and prions, viruses will be naturally bigger than viroids and prions. Okay. If you're talking about a living organism, it is only okay. Well, wait a minute. Like too many questions are pouring in. Like let me sort it out one by one, and then like we can go for it. Okay. The smallest living organism, if you're going to talk about, if you're considering a living organism, it is only mycoplasma. Okay, this is only considered as living. Viruses, viroids, and prions are not considered to be living because they lack cellular structure. They lack metabolism. They can multiply, but depends on the host. Self-replication is absent. Okay, so these are the points that you need to know about viruses, viroids, and prions. Viruses, viroids, and prions will lack cellular structure. There is nothing like cellular. You don't have a cytoplasm, you don't have a membrane-bound organelle or any structure that cellular organelles are absent. They will lack metabolism, which means they cannot metabolize on their own. They can multiply, okay, but the multiplication will depend completely on the host. And self-replication is absent, which means they cannot survive on their own. Whereas bacteria, mycoplasma are all of different nature. They are all just the opposite. They will have a cellular structure. They will have metabolism. They can multiply on their own. Okay. They will be like kind of self-replicating. So this is the basic difference. They will not, okay. So this is the basic difference between mycoplasma and all those things. Okay, this is the basic difference between mycoplasma or bacteria vis-a-vis viruses, viroids, and prions. Are we clear? Yeah, please read these 2 points together. Okay, so the next one is okay. Someone was asking me what is virion. Okay, viruses are also called as virions. Okay, there is a person who's asking me this question in NEET question that they ask which is the smallest organism. In the option they have given mycoplasma, virus and viroids, which is correct. They will not ask such questions because the question itself is wrong. Okay, when they are talking about organism, you have to talk about only mycoplasma. Viruses, viroids are not considered to be organisms. Out of the three options that you have given me, mycoplasma is the only thing which is organism. Virus and viroids are not organisms. So I would go for selecting mycoplasma. I didn't say that NEET question is wrong. NEET would not ask such a question. This is his own question. The person who has asked it, he has framed the question. This is not a NEET question. NEET questions are more analytical in nature. Okay, so with that thing, that part is over. Next one is mycoplasma. Let us try to study about mycoplasma. Mycoplasma are smallest known prokaryotes. Okay, they lack cell wall. They can change shapes easily. They can survive without oxygen. We call them as facultative anaerobes. They were discovered by Louis Pasteur. Listen here, children. Please listen to me. What I am trying to tell. I think you guys have not understood this entire concept. Whatever I am trying to teach. Okay. Whenever I was talking about, I see a lot of comments that are coming here, which are like telling me that you haven't understood any basic thing which I have taught you. Okay. You are asking me if this is coming under bacteria. Okay. So please listen to me first of all very clearly, and please concentrate and then like listen. I will not be repeating this thing again. Okay. So please try to understand. Now you please stop asking for previous slides. Please listen to whatever I'm trying to tell now. Okay. I'm not going to show any other pictures now or any other pages now. You please listen to me. I see lots of stupid questions coming up in the question chat, which is trying to tell me that you guys haven't understood things. Please listen first of all. Organisms are divided into 5 kingdoms. The first one is Monera. The second one is Protista. The third one is fungus. The fourth one is plantae. And the fifth one is animalia. Monera will include all prokaryotes. Plus they should have cell wall. Plus the cell wall should be non-cellulose. Plus they will show autotrophic or heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And they should be unicellular. The same thing in Protista, it will be eukaryotes. Plus they will have cell wall or lack cell wall. Okay. The cell wall may be cellulose or non-cellulose. Okay, they can be either autotrophic or heterotrophic. They will be unicellular. The fungus are multicellular. Eukaryotes. And heterotrophic. Under heterotrophic, they are either saprophytic or they are parasitic. Plantae will be including multicellular organisms that are eukaryotes. And they should be autotrophic. They should have a cell wall that is made up of cellulose. It is there in NCERT textbook. You guys don't understand the thing. That is why I'm trying to explain it once again. You could have read this thing already after being taught. And now still today you are asking me some very basic questions which is trying to tell me that you haven't understood. So I'm explaining it. So please listen to it patiently. Okay. And then this one is multicellular eukaryote. So the cell wall here will be made up of chitin. Okay. And animalia is multicellular. And then it is eukaryotic. It is heterotrophic. Mostly it is holozoic. Okay. So this is the basic division. But there are certain organisms which will not come into any of these 5 kingdoms. Okay. In the 5 group line, serada organisms konjam irukku, which will not be put under any of these 5 kingdoms. Those organisms are mycoplasma, viruses, viroids, and prions. இது organism மாதிரியும் இருக்கும், organism மாதிரியும் இல்ல. So you cannot classify them as living or non-living, or if you are classifying them as living, if you are like kind of, lichen will come under an association between fungus. Lichen and all are living only, and lichen and mycorrhiza will come under fungi. Okay, it will come under symbiotic association of fungi. So you will not consider lichen and mycorrhiza in this category. Okay, mycoplasma, viruses, viroids, and prions are structures which are like kind of cannot be classified into any of these things. ஏன் mycoplasma classify பண்ண முடியாது அப்படின்னு கேட்டா, mycoplasma cannot be classified because of one thing. It is unicellular. It is fitting into all these prokaryotic cells. But what is lacking? It is having a lacking cell wall. So you cannot put it under Monera. Okay, under Monera, because like they are all exceptions of Monera. Mycoplasma cannot come under this group because it is a prokaryotic cell structure, but it is lacking cell wall. But Monera, if something has to come into Monera, it should have a cell wall. Okay, so it is an exception for Monera. Viruses, viroids, prions and all are having prokaryotic cell structures, but they lack metabolism. They are not neither autotrophic, they are heterotrophic, parasitic, but they don't have cellular level of organization. So which means you cannot consider this thing at all. Okay, so which means you cannot consider, this will not be put under this particular group. So please understand that whenever I'm trying to talk about mycoplasma, mycoplasma is lacking cell wall, because of which it is considered, it is having no cellulose, non-cellulose cell wall is absent. It is not having cell wall at all. So we will not consider mycoplasma exactly under bacteria. You cannot call it as a bacteria. So please don't ask a question if mycoplasma is a bacteria, if it is a archaebacteria, if it is a eubacteria. Okay, mycoplasma, I'm trying to study it separately here now. I have given it as a separate heading and then I'm trying to teach it, which means it is having something different from the other things. Are we able to understand? Is it clear? In mycoplasma is given under Monera in book because it is having a prokaryotic structure and it is living. Okay, and it is coming under the heading, but it cannot be classified either as a eubacteria, or it cannot be classified as an archaebacteria, or it cannot be classified as a cyanobacteria. Okay, we are considering the in textbook, in NCERT textbook, if you are seeing mycoplasma will come under Monera, but they will not classify into any group at all. They will not classify it into archaebacteria. They will not classify it into eubacteria and anything. But you cannot classify them. I mean, they have just put it together along with the thing because it is living and it is prokaryotic. But please understand that if you want to classify it under Monera, you need to have these conditions should be filled. Only then you can classify it along with Monera. Okay. Just a second. Children, I have some more questions. Okay. You please follow the NCERT textbook. Okay. Uh, you people are asking some unwanted questions. Okay. So let us continue. I don't understand the difference between viruses and viroids rather than the sites, and the viroids affecting only plants. Okay, so see here, viruses and viroids, what is the basic difference? Someone has asked me that question. Viruses have two things. It has a protein structure followed by RNA. Viroids have only RNA. Viroids do not have what? Protein structure. That is the basic structural difference. Okay. Okay, so let us try to see this thing. So mycoplasma, there are certain things left. We'll just continue with the thing. So in mycoplasma, they can be coccoid or spherical or filamentous. Okay. They are also called as PPLO. Neuro pneumonia like organisms. Okay. What is the meaning of facultative anaerobes? Facultative anaerobes means something which can live either as aerobe or anaerobe. Okay, which can be either aerobic or anaerobic. So this is about mycoplasma. The last part is you have prions. Prions are just folded proteins without genetic material. Okay. They are all neurological causing agents. Smaller than viruses. Okay. The common diseases. Okay, the common diseases are, you have spongiform encephalopathy, which we call it as BSE, or we call it as bovine spongiform. And the second one is seen in human beings. This is seen in cattle. This is seen in human beings. Okay, which is called as CR Jacobs disease. It is called as CJD in humans. So now I'll try to show you what is this disease and the common symptoms of this disease. You please note it down. Okay, so this bovine spongiform encephalopathy is also called as mad cow's disease. The other name is called as mad cow's disease. What will happen here? The cow's brain cells will be affected. Okay, the cow's brain cells will be affected, and then what will happen is this cows will start to have some kind of problems. Okay, and then like from this cow it can kind of come into human beings. Okay, if it is coming into human beings, we call that as CJD, Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease. So this is caused by prions. Okay, so now let's try to study the symptoms. If you're seeing the symptoms, you see here, we'll try to study this disease, how it is spreading to human beings from animals. Okay, so you see here, mad cow's disease is bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease, appears to cause a fatal human brain disease. Severity வந்துட்டு எப்படி இருக்கும்னா, cows being mad, seizures months or years after infection. So the cows will begin to show symptoms only after years, after it is kind of infected. Okay, it is like kind of creating some problem with the thing. So it can also spread to human beings. How it can spread to human beings? Basically, person or animal eats food contaminated with brain or spinal cord tissue from infected animal. So which means, say for example, if the cow is kind of affected and you are going to eat cow or the products of cow. Okay, so say for example milk or cheese or paneer. Okay, or like it is contaminated with that particular tissue. So such a thing, or if you are eating a non-veg items which is coming from a cow or a bovine creature. So in such a case, what will happen is you will get this particular disease. Okay, and this disease will attack the nervous system. And what will happen is, why do we call it a spongiform encephalopathy? What is the meaning of that thing is, like it will go and attack the spongiform cells of the brain. So you will have like a nervous system, like your outer level of the brain will have some cells. That cortex layer will have some cells. Those cells this disease will make tiny holes, and it will like to look spongy. So because of which it is spreading. Okay, it is not carried by germs at all. It is not carried by organisms. It is just carried by proteins. So these proteins are called as prions. Okay, so this is the thing. And then like normally this incubation time for this particular disease is very large, and it has a very large incubation time. So sometimes people will not know that they have got this disease, but suddenly one day finally you can get this disease and you can get infected. So when do you get infected? Whenever you're eating the proteins of water, you're eating the proteins of animals which are infected. So in such a case, you can get this particular thing. This in cow, it is called as mad cow's disease. The variant in human being is called as a Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. So this is what I told you, CR-Jakob disease. If you want to note down, please note down Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Okay. So with this thing, this part is also over. I'm just giving you like 1 more minute to copy this thing down in case if you want to. After which I will try to proceed further. The prions will live in the air. It can get into the animal's body. It will multiply in the organism inside the cells. These prions are capable of multiplying and then it can cause disease. It can be cured, but mostly it is like kind of a degenerative brain disorder, which means your brain will be like kind of damaged slowly. Okay, so it is like kind of like a serious disease which will take time to cure. Maybe you have to like stop the prevention, or I mean like contamination of the thing. But the problem with this disease is like this disease is like kind of like incubation time is longer, so you will not know till you get a serious form of disease. The symptoms in humans will be you will have dementia. Dementia na paithiyam pudichum. Or like you will have like delusions. Nadakada vishayamla nadakra mari theriyum. So those are the symptoms. So whatever happens whenever you are having like delusions will be there. Okay. And then like you will be like kind of konja mental mari irpanga. So those kind of things will be there. It will affect the brain. The neurons present in the brain will start to degenerate. So they will not know some basic things. It's very rare. Yeah, it is a very rare disease. Okay. So with this thing, this prion is also over. So with prions getting over, this chapter is over. So let us just try to summarize what we have seen in this chapter. Okay. We have seen I'm not sure how they reproduce without the genetic material. Okay. So maybe it is like kind of protein biology. You have to understand the mechanism of it. Maybe you will try to find it out in future days if you are going to take a specialization and if you are going to study. Okay. I'm not sure how they will reproduce. And this is like just a level at which it is required for NEET. You still can find it out in Google in case if you're interested to pursue this thing. So you first thing we'll try to study about is Monera. In Monera, we were trying to study about Archaebacteria. and then we studied about eubacteria. Under eubacteria, we studied about cyanobacteria, and then about bacteria. This is what we studied in Monera. So afterwards, we started studying about Protista. Under Protista, we studied about photosynthetic organisms. Okay. And then we studied about saprotrophic. And then we studied about heterotrophic. Under photosynthetic, we studied about chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, and then we studied about euglenoids. Then we studied about saprotrophic, we studied about slime molds. And then in this, we studied about protozoans. Under protozoans, we studied about flagellates, ciliates, sporozoans, and sarcodines or amoeboids. So this is what we studied in Protista. We studied that Protista are unicellular and eukaryotic. Okay. And then we studied about fungus. In fungus, we studied about five things. We studied about oomycetes. Then we studied about zygomycetes. These two things put together, we can call it as phycomycetes. Then we studied about ascomycetes. Then we studied about basidiomycetes. And then we also studied about the last thing, which is deuteromycetes. This is also called as imperfecti. This is also called as club fungi. This is also called as sac fungi. And this is phycomycetes already. Okay, so we have studied about all these things, and also in this chapter, in this part, we have studied about lichens and also about mycorrhiza. Okay, and then finally, we also studied about the other things which are not classified. The first one is viruses. Then we studied about viroids. Then we studied about mycoplasma. We have studied about prions. All these things we have studied. Okay. So with this thing, we are completing this chapter. Biological classification is over. Okay. So I'll show you all the slides. You can just take a snapshot in case if you want to. First slide. Second slide. Third slide. Fourth slide. Fifth slide. Okay, one more thing that you need to understand is we'll study about Plantae and Animalia in detail in the chapter Plant Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. Okay, we'll be like trying to conduct these chapters later. Once we complete cell biology fully, we will go for this chapter, Plant Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. Afterwards only we'll go, but we'll study about Plant Kingdom separately and we'll study about Animal Kingdom separately. Okay. Sixth slide. Seventh slide. Eighth slide. Ninth slide. 10th slide. Okay, so with this thing, we will try to complete this lesson. The next lesson might be cell biology. I have started with cell biology in the other batch. So we'll also start with cell biology. Someone wanted sixth slide. Wednesday, you will be writing a test on living world. Okay, I will tell you the method in which it would be done on, I mean by tomorrow I'll tell you. It will be an online test. It will be conducted in STG platform. The timing and all you will be told. I mean like I'm not sure. Fourth slide someone wanted. Third slide someone wants it. And first slide someone wants it. If you have missed my previous classes, please contact your coordinators to get the previous classes recordings. Okay. The coordinators will be having recordings of the previous classes. Please contact them because I don't have the recordings with me. Fifth slide. The chapter is living world. Whatever I taught under living world will be there in the test. Okay. So you guys, please don't have any confusion. The chapter fully is there. Okay. Whatever has been taught in the chapter, please study that. It's very clear. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, sir. I have completed my class.